So in today's video, we're going to be trying something a little bit different to the normal videos. Basically, this is going to be like a teardown or a disassembly of a gaming PC. So basically, let's just say you've got pre-built and you just want to disassemble it so you can sell the parts separately. That's the first thing you probably will want to do for this video. Or this could even just be your own personal build that you put together, and now you're just kind of wanting to move it to a different case, or you're just wanting to take out the parts and what have you and sell them on, and then potentially upgrade to your new parts. So it's pretty simple to actually tear down a PC and disassemble it. It's pretty much just building a PC but in reverse, so you're just actually just taking everything apart rather than building it up. So you know, it's pretty simple. But I thought, seeing as I've got like a little bit of a week or two where I'm going to be waiting for hardware and stuff to come down, and just a little bit of in between time, I thought we'd get a video up at least in between, and then we would, you know, just to kind of show you how to do it. Basically, I'm pretty sure most people on this channel who are watching this channel, or certainly subscribers to this channel, are pretty much going to be able to do this anyway. But it's still worth going through if not. So, you know, seeing as I need to disassemble this PC anyway, I think we may as well. So here we go. Basically, this is the actual £150 PC that I did in the previous video, and pretty much, you know, obviously every single PC is going to be a little bit different because of the case and the hardware that you use. But first of all, what we need to do is these 4 screws here where the tempered glass is, we need to take those off. So what I like to do is I like to do 2 at a time diagonally. So those are those 2, and then we take off these 2 here. And then the glass is simply just going to pop up like that, and then we'll just put this to a safe place. Now I'd recommend you put that into your PC case box, or at least somewhere safe, because that's tempered glass, and if that gets smashed, then you're pretty much screwed. So you don't want that smashing. So yeah, let's disassemble this. I mean, first of all, my sort of approach is, at least this, again, everyone's approach is maybe different to this, but I do the graphics card first. I then take all the connectors off. I then take out the power supply at the back, pull all the connectors through to the back as well, and then finally take off the SSD just before, obviously, then taking out the motherboard, and then pretty much everything is done then. So first of all, graphics card, PCIe cable, just pull where that little lever is, just push it in, and then pull up. A little bit of wiggle as well will help. And I forgot to mention, obviously, the things that you'll need for this. Again, I'm sure pretty much everyone will know, but I like to have like a sort of normal size screwdriver. Then I like to go with pretty much a big screwdriver. There we go. So I like to go with a long screwdriver as well. So that's very good to get to the motherboard standoff. There's the motherboard screw, sorry. And then I like to have like these side cutters, or whatever they are called. So these side cutters are good, so I can obviously just snip off all the cable ties and all that sort of stuff. And having a set of pliers is also quite handy as well, just in case any screws or anything like that are just trying to be a bit awkward. But yeah. So first of all is actually this screw, and actually we will need the pliers here because this is a bit weird. Basically, there should be a screw here. It was kind of missing with this one because I don't think this is the right. This is like a graphics card holder thing. Probably if I pull the PC up that way. This is actually this is actually incorrect here. This isn't actually even the correct one. So what I've done is just jammed a standoff between a normal screw, and then it kind of worked to hold it. It wasn't actually holding otherwise, so that was a bit weird. So yeah, we'll just hold the standoff with the pliers, and then just take off the screw with a screwdriver here. Hopefully you can see all this. Now again, you shouldn't need to do that. You should just be able to screw that out. But it's just because I'm using a used PC, and I don't think this is the bracket here. I don't think the bracket was actually correct. So yeah, never mind. You know, we got it to work, and it's fine. But yours should obviously have. If you've got a new case, then you shouldn't have a problem like that at all. But anyway, and then you just got the two screws here, which are holding your graphics card in. Again, just make sure you don't lose the screws down the motherboard, because that could be a bit awkward. I would suggest as well with the screws, if you've got like some kind of magnetic dish or something, usually I use that, but this one's kind of full at the moment, and you can just keep all your screws in there. So that's also another bit of a tip for you guys when you're doing, if you're doing a lot of PCs, it's well worth getting something like that. So then we just, the lever at the bottom, you just push down. There you go. A little bit awkward. You've got to kind of get your finger right there, and if you've got one of those big CPU tower coolers, you'll find this quite difficult actually. So just be a little bit careful. You might even have to get a flathead screwdriver down there and jam it, but that's kind of last resort. But anyway, shouldn't need to. You should just be able to get your finger there or your thumb down there, and all you got to do is get that clip down to the bottom, and then obviously pull up on your graphics card. I like to pull where the DVI port is. I like to pull up so you don't put too much pressure on the graphics card, and then just gently pull up basically. There it is, and then just shift it out. So that's your first component out of the case, which is always a good start. Now I'll just concentrate on getting the cables out. So all these little fiddly ones down here, this is the HD audio. Just be a bit careful when you're doing this and don't pull too much. If you feel too much resistance, obviously don't go further. But basically you should just be able to pull these out. Just be careful, obviously you don't snap a wire or something, or you don't snap one of the little pins on the motherboard, because that can happen as well. And this is the little fiddly front panel, so that's a bit awkward. So yeah, there we go. We haven't snapped any pins, so obviously that's a good start. What you can do is feed some of these cables through actually to the power supply basement. Now this is obviously if your case has a power supply basement as well, or the PSU shroud as I like to call it. Some cases might not have this, and some of the earlier cases actually have the power supply up here, which then, you know, it's a little bit more difficult to do those ones. So just be aware. I can't feed that all the way through, but we can do that when we flip the case over. But this is more your sort of traditional power supply at the bottom sort of case with the micro ATX board at the top. This SATA cable just comes out just where the little plug is, and then pull it out just with the little notches. Again, you can kind of feed that through a little bit, but I'll probably just leave that there for now. Something you can do with this 24 pin, if you just want a little bit of room, you can take one of the RAM sticks out, which is nearest to the connector. Just a bit of a tip that I've kind of over the years kind of picked up. And then obviously the ATX 24 pin has a little latch here. You probably can't see it, but there's a little latch just there, so you just hold that latch and then just wiggle out and pull up. Again, just be careful, don't put too much pressure on the connector, don't put too much pressure on the wires. You just want to hold it where the plastic is rather than where the wires are. Otherwise, if you take one of the wires out, you're in deep dog. And there you go. So none of the wires got taken out there, so it's all safe. That connector still, so that's good. The 4 pin or the 8 pin or the 4 pin for the CPU supplementary power, EPS power. Again, that's just a little notch, and that just comes out. There you go, pretty comfortable there. So now we've got everything on this side. I'm going to flip the PC case over. Now, yeah, so here we go. So basically these are thumb screws. You probably have thumb screws on your case as well. So just take those thumb screws out. And the panel slides out to the right, but just be a little bit careful because you've got to remember you've got cables under here, so obviously you don't want to snag a cable or something. So just gently push to the right until you've got enough where the panel actually come out, and then it just pulls up and out. And then just set that to the side somewhere where it's safe. Now basically we just need to sort of pull through the connectors and stuff. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, so probably actually what I'll do is I'll take off this cable tie first of all, because this is kind of like a main cable tie holding everything together. In fact, I'll probably actually just take out all the cable ties while we're here. So just pull that up and make sure it's out the way of a cable, because you don't want to snag a power cable, because again you'll be in deep dole. And then just clip that off. Just clip the cable tie off, obviously, like I say, not the actual wire. Otherwise you're in bad shape, like I say. And then again with this one just here, hopefully you can see that. Again, just be careful, move it to the side if you can, pull it up a little bit so it's out the way of the cables. This one's actually I've probably done this one too tight actually, so I haven't really got a lot of room here to kind of maneuver this, but I should just about be able to, here we go. Just about got enough space there to clip it. There you go. And again, a little bit of advice: if you're going to clip where you're going to clip, you're better off if you are going to clip near to like something like the USB cable or something rather than a power cable, because obviously if you go through a power cable, yeah, you're in pretty bad shape. So if you go through a USB cable or like a front panel cable, well, it can be sorted out. So yeah, just obviously you don't want to go through any cables anyway, so just be careful. You shouldn't go anywhere near the cable, so that should be fine, but just take your time and make sure you're cutting in the right place, that's all. So up here in the top right hand corner, we've just got to feed this through here. Just keep pulling it up until it eventually comes out and the connector comes out, and there we go, that's our CPU one. We can just tuck that back in if we want, tuck that back into the basement area. I'll probably disconnect the SATA now, the SSD, sorry. That connector might not come out until I've disconnected the SSD from the other side. Let's have a look. I think I'm going to have to disconnect the SSD on that one, so I'm going to leave that. But we can pull the data cable out, that's fine. So that's all good, that data cable's out. The big 24 pin can come through now, so that's good. Basically I'm going to take the power supply one out, the power supply out now, so that's kind of the best thing. This is the SATA power for the cable, for the fan, sorry. This is the SATA cable for the fans, so to obviously power the fans and put their lights on and what have you. So again, be a little bit careful because SATA cables can be a little bit annoying, and obviously if you slightly snap them, then obviously again you're in deep dole and it's difficult to fix. So just be careful, take them out, take your time. Like here, what I'll do is I'll just wiggle them a little bit. That's probably the best way. Wiggle it out until you're safe, and then obviously you're fine. This is a USB 3 to USB 2 connector, so I can take that out. You probably won't use this, but if you are, obviously just take that out. That's for the USB 3 front panel. So what I probably would do with my front panel ones is start putting them to the side now. So we've got more room to obviously get the power supply out. The HD audio here, just pull that through if you can. The power supply might be slightly in the way, but yeah, there we go. We got it through, so. Just trying to see if we can get the SATA out, the SSD out before we have to. Oh yeah, and sorry, also the PCIe cable you need to pull through as well. So you're not going to be able to see this, but yeah, you're not going to be able to see this, but I'm going to take out these two screws here and there. So this is for the SSD. Again, apologies for not being able to see it on camera, but it is what it is. So I've just disconnected the SSD there. A little bit annoying because it's just the way that the cables are done and this case is done, so a little bit annoying to get that out, but it's okay. And then that connector just comes out quite simple there. So I think what's probably best to do here is we get the power supply out now. So yeah, move all those front panel connectors to the side, and then I like to get all the cables together from the power supply like this, sort of bunch them up, put them a little bit to the side, and then we'll take out the power supply with the screws. So they're just 4 screws here at the side. Again, apologies if you can't see these, but again, very simple, just 4 screws at the side, try not to lose them. And then the power supply will just slide straight out. Now on this last one I would actually hold the power supply so it doesn't fall right to the bottom of the cage, or the case, sorry. And then basically just be a little bit careful here. Yeah. You can kind of hold it by the wires a little bit and then just grab it here and then just nice and easy slides out. So now all these front panel connectors will just be sort of shoved down at the bottom there, because again, you won't really need this if you're replacing the case and what have you. You don't need to worry about all that. So pretty much now it's just the motherboard. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so pretty much now it's just the motherboard to get out, and I like to use this bigger screwdriver just to get all these screws out. So again, just 6 screws here. Most motherboards are either 6 screws or potentially 8 or potentially 9 if you've got like an ATX board, but that's for an ATX board. But yeah, just the 6 screws now. And again, it's probably worth just keeping these screws at the sides and keeping them organised so you know where you are with all the screws and stuff. Again, if you've got one of those sort of metal screw plate things which you can hold all your screws, that's a big advantage, I think. Or even do what I do, which is just keep all the screws, maybe you can't see that, but you just keep all the screws at the side here, and then you can kind of just organize them into little groups like that, and then put them all together when you put your case, when you put your screws back into your case. You can do this in any pattern you want, really, but I probably would do the corners first and then do like the more middle screws last. At least that's kind of what I like to do. And obviously, be careful you don't dig a screwdriver into your motherboard. That's probably not a very good idea. So don't follow me. But no, I didn't dig it too far in. I think we should be okay. To be honest, this is old hardware anyway, so even if I damage it, I damage it. I'm not really that fussed. So with all the screws out, it should literally just be a case of lifting up the motherboard and then pulling it out like that, and then that will come out very, very easily. And then we'll set our motherboard to the side, and then we'll move on to that part. And then last but not least, and this is probably the most easiest part to forget, you want to push your I/O shield from the outside in towards the case like that, and then you just get your I/O shield out. Now the amount of times that I've done this, or the amount of times I've seen other people do this, where they just leave the I/O shield in the case and then they transfer the stuff to the new case, and obviously the I/O shield's not with the motherboard anymore, so that can happen. So you obviously want to keep your I/O shield with your motherboard, because it's always nice to have the I/O shield, isn't it? Just for sort of safety, and for you know, it just looks better as well. So. Now, yeah, we can basically just put the back onto the PC, the back panel back on now. Nice and simply, and then put the screws back. Put the tempered glass back on your front as well, because it's better just keeping the tempered glass screwed down, really. You don't want it loose and about, because believe me, if you're not careful, you can you can break tempered glass quite easy. So it's a lot better keeping it with the actual case, in my opinion, rather than having it loose about in your room, and then or anywhere else, and then obviously could potentially damage. So yeah. And so here we are now. This is the motherboard itself. This is taking out the motherboard. I've put all the screws here just so you can see what I do with the screws, just so they're all there and organised. Now, you don't have to do this. You can just lump them all back into the bag if you want, which, to be honest, I probably will do that. But I mean, it's always good just to have them all here and then organised, just so you're working through things. If you are like swapping one motherboard out and putting the other one in, keeping all your screws organised into like the little, like here I've got 6 screws which are motherboard ones. I've got 2 screws which that's for the graphics card, 4 screws for the power supply, and another 2 screws for the SSD. And I would recommend when you're doing, you know, when you're taking your PC apart, to keep all your screws together, because it makes sense rather than just having them everywhere, doesn't it? You want to keep things organised as best as possible. So now really it's only the disassembly of the actual motherboard itself. This is optional, of course. You might just want to swap motherboards. So obviously then if you just swap the motherboard out, just put your new one in, and then obviously you can sell this one on or what have you, or you know. But if you are wanting to disassemble the motherboard further, then obviously stay with me here, and we'll do that now. So this is DDR3 RAM. Most people probably have DDR4 RAM, potentially even DDR5 RAM now, but it's all pretty much the same. There's just 2, at least with gigabyte boards, there's 2 little notches at the side of each RAM module, and you just click them down, both like that. Now I think with Asus there's only the one at the top, so you only just do that, but most manufacturers do the one at the top, one at the bottom, and then simply just grab the actual module, and there you go. very easy. Probably RAM is actually the simplest component to install, I'd say, on a PC. It really is. Nothing to it. CPU may be a little bit more complicated, but again, there's not really much of a challenge with it. So this is just an Intel stock cooler on a H81 motherboard. So this is 4th gen Intel. Now some people really hate these stock coolers, but in actual fact they're not that bad in my opinion, and they do work fairly straightforward. So what we're going to do is just take the CPU fan header out, CPU fan cable out of its header. This is obviously to power the actual CPU fan itself. So just grab it by where the sort of white module bit is. Obviously don't tug it by the wires, but just grab it where the actual plastic module bit is, the moulded plastic, and then just sort of wiggle it out. Mine's being a little bit tricky. There you go. So I pulled it out. There we go. Eventually, that was a little bit more, bit more of a struggle than it should have been. But anyway, these little arrows need to be turned to the left. So as you can see, the arrow's pointing towards the left. So these little notches need to be turned to the left like this. If you can see that, hopefully you can see that on the camera there. Maybe if I come a bit more closer, you'll be able to see that. Hopefully, so just click to the left there, like that. And then the final one like that. So they're all to the left, furthest to the left as possible. And then you just want to push up on them, on each one. Push up as much as you can. And then literally the cooler should, with a little bit of wriggle room, come off. There you go. You've got to wiggle it a little bit, but it comes off fairly comfortable. And then you've just got the CPU with the thermal paste there. Now you can just get a little bit of tissue paper or what have you and just take off this excess thermal paste if you want, but again, you don't really have to. You probably won't need to, but probably best practice too. But to be honest, I'm a bit lazy, so I'll just leave it because again, it doesn't really matter. So basically, we're going to take the CPU out the CPU socket. So it's just this little lever here. You want to pull out furthest to the right and then up. So it just heard that little click and it went up. And then put it right up to the top there, and then pull the actual sort of cover, CPU cover, right to the top here as well. Hopefully you can see that. And then what I like to do is just put 2 fingers at each side here of the actual CPU, and then just lift up a little bit. Just try not to touch the back of the CPU, obviously, where the well, there isn't pins, obviously, because this is Intel. The pins are actually on the motherboard itself. But yeah, just the actual pads. Just don't touch the pads, because that potentially could cause you issues. So try not to touch the pins, obviously, or the actual pads on the actual CPU itself. And then that just comes off pretty easy. And then what I would do, just take that down. So it just goes under this screw here, the actual cover. And then obviously just pull it back down like that. Now you can get a bit of paper or even like an actual proper CPU cover, which is like a plastic cover, so it covers the pins. But what I'll just do is, obviously once this filming's done, I'll just put the CPU back in. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much how to do the disassembly of the PC, and I'll just sort of do a little wrap up now. So yeah, there it is, guys, and pretty much, yeah, this is this PC is all disassembled now. I've put the CPU back in, but that's just to cover the actual slot, obviously, so we don't get damage there. Graphics card out, case all cleared out. CPU CPU cooler, even the RAM's gone out. So yeah, I mean everything's disassembled now, and you know you could potentially sell on these components now if you wanted to, or what I'll be doing anyway is obviously be reusing these components for future videos. So obviously stick around for that. Now we are just in between sort of getting new hardware and stuff. We should have some new cases soon, next week hopefully. Maybe the next 2 weeks I'll try and get new case videos up where we do obviously the overview of the case, unboxing overview, and of course that PC build as well. Now we are going to probably use more older hardware like this, mainly because the Ryzen system I've actually sold now. The Ryzen 3 3100 with the GTX 1660 has been sold, so that's also good because it will generate a little bit more money now for us to not only get these new cases, but potentially I'm going to buy another graphics card, and we've got an i7 4790S build coming as well, so that'll obviously be good as well for a little budget flip build. So obviously look out for that as well. I think there's some good videos coming up, and you know they will take a little while until they're up, unfortunately, guys. But you know, hopefully next week and then the week after and what have you, we'll get some more good content for you guys. But I thought this was just something a bit different because I kind of needed to strip down this PC anyway and tear it down and disassemble it. So I thought let's just put a video together and
and then at least you've got a video for this week, haven't you guys? So let me know what you thought. I mean, if you did learn anything from this, that's great. Most people probably are going to know how to do this anyway, so it's probably not too useful for them. But if you got something out of it, let me know in the comments, and let me know what I could maybe improve for future videos, or if you'd like me to go over. If there's anything you actually want me to go over further with this process, obviously let me know. Or even if it's for building PCs, if you've got questions on maybe a build that you're putting together, and maybe you want to spec out certain components, or whether you're just having an issue with that build, just let me know in the comments what's happening, basically. So yeah, please like the video, obviously, for that beautiful YouTube algorithm that we have to obey at all times. And obviously, please subscribe so you can see my future videos. And as always, guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.